the year 3078, Earth had changed. The sky was no longer blue, and the cities were surrounded by giant junkyards. Massive fields filled with broken machines, old spaceships, and alien trash. Earth had become the galaxy's dumping ground. Max lived in Junk Zone 47, one of the largest scrap fields in the northern zone. He was only 19, skinny but smart, and worked as a scavenger. Every day, Max searched the metal mountains for anything valuable, old parts, batteries, tools. He sold them in the black market to survive. One evening, the sky above the junkyard turned red. A strange light flickered in the clouds. Max looked up and saw something falling fast. It wasn't a meteor. It was a capsule, metallic, round, and glowing blue. Boom! The ground shook as the capsule crashed into the far corner of the junkyard. Max's heart raced. "That's not normal trash," he whispered to himself. Grabbing his scanner and flashlight, he ran toward the crash site. The air smelled like burned metal. Sparks flew from broken wires as he climbed over piles of scrap. When he reached the crash site, he stopped. His eyes widened. The capsule was half buried in the ground, steaming. It was about the size of a small car, with strange alien symbols glowing faintly on its surface. It looked old, damaged, but not dead. He slowly walked closer. The scanner beeped fast. "Life form detected," it said. Max froze. "Wait. What?" He placed his hand on the side of the capsule. Felt warm. There was a small window on one side, covered in dust and cracks. Max wiped it with his sleeve and looked inside. John Parker sat alone, his breath caught in his throat, staring at the empty walls. She looked around. Life was not easy for him. Her skin was pale blue, his job 2 months ago, her hair white like snow, and the bills kept coming. She wore a silver suit torn at the shoulder, dinner to save money, and she wasn't moving. Sometimes he wondered if life would ever get better. Her eyes opened, glowing soft purple. The city outside his window was quiet, but the girl put on his old jacket and walked outside. He needed some fresh air. He knew he couldn't leave her there. Others would find her near his house, and they wouldn't be kind. The streetlights were using his toolkit, and only a few people walked by. The capsule door open. John sat on a bench and closed his eyes. Cold steam poured out. He felt someone watching him. Her chest rising quickly. He opened his eyes and saw a woman slowly turn toward him. She wore a long silver coat. "Let them find me." Her hair was dark, she whispered, but her skin seemed to shine in the dim light. Then she fainted. What caught John's attention most were her eyes. Who was she? They glowed softly. Why was she in a capsule, almost like small stars? And who were they? The woman lifted her carefully. Her steps were quiet, almost too light, almost silent. As he carried her back to his workshop, John felt a strange chill. He looked around nervously, but he could not look away. The junkyard was quiet. She stopped in front of him, but something in the air had changed. "Are you John Parker?" He reached his small shelter. Her voice was soft, a hidden place under a broken cargo ship. He placed the girl on a makeshift bed and checked her condition. "Do I know you?" "No wounds." The woman shook her head. Her body glowed faintly in the dark. "My name is Lyra." Suddenly, she sat down next to him. Leaving incoming signal detected. "I need your help for lost cargo. It is very important." Capsule ID. John felt uneasy. X9 Beta. "Help? Signal locked. I don't even know you." Max's heart Lyra sank. Looked at him. Someone with her was looking eyes. For her. "I will pay you a lot of money, quickly and more than you can imagine." He noticed a small metal tag on the side and do exactly discarded what I say. Unit. John was no value. Was this a joke? "What kind of help do you want?" Max whispered. Lyra looked around. They threw her away. No one was listening. "Like garbage?" Then she leaned closer. She didn't look dangerous. "I need you to pretend to be the father of my child." Suddenly, John almost laughed. Sirens began to echo. "Is this some kind of trick? I don't even know you." Alarmed. "Why would you need that?" Red lights flashed in the sky. "I cannot explain everything now. They're here already, but you must trust me. They're looking for her. My situation is..." The girl stirred in her sleep. John studied her twitched again. She did not look around her body glowed brighter. In fact, she looked a little stared in shock as his metal tools on the table began to float. "How much money are we talking about?" "Just slightly." John asked, "She's not normal." Keep his voice calm. Max said, Lyra pulled out a small black card. "But she's not a mistake either. This card has more money than you will need for a long time. Inside, if you agree, the money will be yours and you will be safe. But you must not ask too many questions." Max took a deep breath. "And you cannot tell anyone." He had a choice to make. John's heart beat faster. Run and save himself. His life could change. Or protect the strange girl from a world maybe that had already thrown her away. But something about this woman was not right. "I don't know who you are." He looked at her hands, he said quietly. "They were long and thin, but I think you deserve a second chance." And her nails were almost silver. As he locked the workshop doors and powered down all signals. "No one pays this much money for nothing." Lyra's big had landed even brighter. Zone 47. "You only have to pretend, and the universe was already on its way. There are rules, but I will explain them later." If you do not agree, I will leave and you will never see me again. John thought for a moment. He remembered his empty fridge and his unpaid bills. But he also remembered the stories his mother used to tell him about not trusting strangers, especially those who seemed too good to be true. I need to know one thing, John said. Are you in some kind of trouble? Lyra looked away for a second. Yes, but you will not be in danger if you do what I say. John sighed. He was tired of being afraid. He needed this chance. Even if it sounded crazy. He reached out his hand. Okay, I'll do it. But you have to promise me. I won't get hurt. Lyra smiled for the first time. Her smile was beautiful, but there was something strange about it. She shook his hand. Her skin was cold, almost like ice. Thank you, John. You have made the right choice. As they stood up, Lyra handed him the black card. We will meet tomorrow. I will send you a message with the place and time. Remember, you must not tell anyone. John nodded. He watched her walk away, her silver coat shining under the streetlights. He felt the card in his hand. Was he dreaming? Was this real? That night, John could not sleep. He stared at the black card. He thought about Lyra's glowing eyes and her cold hand. What kind of woman was she? What did she really want? And why did he feel like he had just opened a door he could never close? John did not know it yet, but his life was about to change forever. John woke up early the next morning. His mind was still full of questions. He checked his phone for any messages, but there was nothing. The strange black card from last night was still on his table. It didn't look like a normal bank card. There were odd symbols on it, circles and lines that John didn't recognize. As he made a cup of coffee, his phone suddenly vibrated. It was a message from an unknown number. It only said, "Come to the old train station at 10 a.m. Come alone." John's hands shook as he got ready. He had never been to the old train station. It was a place people avoided. The trains had stopped running years ago, and stories about it were always strange. Some people said it was haunted. Others said they saw strange lights there at night. But John needed the money. He put the card in his pocket and left his apartment. The city was gray and silent as he walked through empty streets. He reached the train station just before 10. The building was old and covered in dust. The windows were broken. The air smelled of rust and rain. He walked inside. His footsteps echoed on the cracked floor. The ticket counters were empty. Suddenly, a door opened at the end of the hall. Lyra stepped out wearing the same silver coat. But this time, there were two other people with her. A tall man with pale skin and sharp eyes, and a woman with golden hair who never smiled. Lyra greeted John. You came. Good. Please, follow us. John hesitated but followed. They went through the station and down a hidden staircase. The air grew colder as they walked. At the bottom of the stairs, there was a steel door with the same strange symbols as the black card. Lyra placed her hand on the door, and it slid open without a sound. Behind the door, John saw something he could not believe. It was a huge room, filled with blue light. Machines hummed quietly. Screens showed moving symbols. The floor was smooth and shining. This did not look like anything on Earth. Where are we? John whispered. The golden-haired woman answered, You are safe. This is a protected place. Here, no one will find you. The tall man handed John a paper to sign. The paper was covered in normal words and strange symbols. John tried to read it, but some parts made no sense. This is your contract, the man said. You agree to pretend to be the father of Lyra's child. You must answer questions as we tell you. You must not tell anyone about us. You will be paid. John looked at Lyra. I don't understand. Why all this? Why me? Lyra spoke softly. Because you are ordinary. No one will notice you. That is what we need. And because you are honest. I can see that. John felt nervous, but he remembered his problems. He took the pen and signed the paper. As soon as he finished, the machines in the room started to glow brighter. The contract seemed to sink into the table and disappear. Lyra turned to John. Now you must meet the child. John stared at her, confused. But, you said the child wasn't born yet? Lyra smiled sadly. Not born the way you understand. Come. She led John to another room. In the center, there was a glass pod filled with blue light. Inside, something floated. A small baby, almost ready to be born. The baby had dark hair and glowing eyes, just like Lyra. John gasped. The pod made soft beeping sounds. Suddenly, the baby's eyes opened and stared at John. He felt something strange, like a voice inside his head, saying his name. He stepped back. What was that? Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. Do not be afraid. She knows you now. She needs you to protect her. The tall man came in with a box. You will live here for some days, he said. There are cameras. You must act like a father when visitors come. You must not leave. John's mind was spinning. He had never seen anything like this. Was he dreaming? Was this some science experiment? He spent the next hours learning his new role. Lyra gave him simple answers to memorize. If anyone asks, you say the baby is yours. You say nothing else. That night, John lay in a small room next to the glowing pod. He could not sleep. He thought about the strange contract, the baby's eyes, and the cold people with Lyra. He wondered if he would ever leave this place. He wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. Just before he fell asleep, he heard the voice again, gentle and soft inside his mind. Help me, John. He sat up, heart pounding. The baby was still in the pod, eyes closed. But he knew now this was not a normal job. And this was not a normal child. Somewhere deep inside, John felt fear growing. He was trapped in something much bigger than he understood. And there was no turning back. John woke up to a soft humming sound. For a moment, he forgot where he was. But then he saw the glass pod glowing in the center of the room. The baby was still inside, floating in blue light. Her tiny hands moved gently, and her eyes were closed. He got up from the small bed and walked closer to the pod. There was a strange comfort in watching the child sleep. But John could not shake off the memory of the voice in his head from the night before. Help me, John. He put his hand on the glass. The baby suddenly opened her eyes. They glowed even brighter than Lyra's. John felt a shiver run down his spine. Just then, Lyra entered the room, holding a silver tablet. She looked at the pod and nodded. Today is the day, she said. John blinked. What do you mean? Lyra pressed a button on the tablet. The blue light in the pod began to fade. The baby's eyes closed again, and then the glass slowly slid open. Warm air escaped with a soft hiss. Lyra reached inside and lifted the baby gently. She wrapped her in a soft, white blanket and placed her in John's arms. John held the baby carefully. She was lighter than he expected, and her skin was soft but almost cool to touch. The baby opened her eyes again and stared at John. For a moment, everything felt quiet. Then the room's lights flickered. The air felt heavy. John looked up, confused. The silver tablet in Lyra's hands started to float, spinning slowly in the air. Is this supposed to happen? John asked, wide-eyed. Lyra watched calmly. She is different. She learns fast. She feels everything around her. The tablet dropped to the floor with a loud clatter. The baby blinked, and John felt another soft voice in his mind, gentle and curious. Are you my father? John was startled, but Lyra just nodded to him, encouraging him to answer. He cleared his throat. Yes, I am, he said, feeling strange and uncertain. The baby smiled. A small, innocent smile that made John's heart melt and ache at the same time. For the next few hours, John sat with the baby in his arms while Lyra watched closely. Sometimes the baby giggled, and when she did, little sparks floated in the air, like fireflies made of light. Lyra explained, she will grow fast, much faster than a human baby. She needs you to teach her simple things. Words, feelings, kindness. She listens more than you think. John tried to talk to the baby using simple words and pointing at things. This is a chair. That's a table. I am John. The baby seemed to understand. Her eyes followed every movement. She squeezed his finger, and John felt a warm sensation in his chest. But there was still something strange about her. When she cried, the lights flickered. When she smiled, objects in the room moved a little, like the air itself was alive. As the hours passed, John felt more and more attached to the child. He started calling her Mia, and Lyra did not object. Suddenly, alarms rang out in the hidden base. Red lights flashed. The tall man and the golden-haired woman ran into the room. "Someone is trying to get in," they shouted. Lyra took Mia from John's arms and handed her to the golden-haired woman. "Take her to the safe room," Lyra ordered. The woman left quickly, carrying Mia down a long corridor. John watched, helpless, as the steel door closed behind them. "What's happening?" John asked, his voice shaking. Lyra turned to him, her face serious. "Others have found us. They want the child. They will do anything to get her." John felt fear rising inside him. "Who are they?" Lyra hesitated. "They are not from Earth. They are like us but dangerous. They do not care about Mia. They want her power." The tall man handed John a small device. "If anything happens, press this button. It will call Lyra. But do not use it unless you are in real danger." John nodded, his hands shaking. Suddenly, there was a loud crash from somewhere above. The ground shook. John felt like the whole building would collapse. He heard strange voices, voices that did not sound human. Lyra looked at John. "You must help protect Mia. She trusts you." John nodded. He felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Just yesterday, he was a lonely man with no future. Now, he was the only hope for a child who was not even from his world. The alarms finally stopped, and everything was quiet again. Lyra and John ran to the safe room. When they opened the door, Mia was gone. The golden-haired woman lay on the floor, unconscious. John's heart pounded in his chest. He called Mia's name, but there was no answer. Lyra knelt beside the woman, checking her pulse. "She's alive," she said softly. "But Mia is missing." John stared at the empty room. His mind raced with questions and fear. He realized in that moment that his life was no longer his own. He would do anything to protect Mia, even if it meant facing dangers he could not yet understand. But as he stared at the empty pod, John had one terrible thought. If the others had taken Mia, would he ever see her again? John's world felt like it was collapsing. Mia was gone. The room was cold and empty, except for the silver pod and the golden-haired woman still lying on the floor. John's heart pounded as he helped Lyra lift the woman onto a bed. She was breathing, but her eyes were closed. It looked like she had been attacked by something powerful. Lyra's hands trembled as she spoke into a small device. "They took Mia. I need backup. Now." John could barely think. Only a day ago he was worried about his rent. Now he was in a secret base, searching for a child who was not even human, a child who already felt like his own. "Who took her?" John demanded, his voice shaking. Lyra's eyes filled with pain and fear. "The hunters. They have been searching for my child since before she was born. If they succeed, everything I have done will be for nothing. Mia will be used as a weapon." John felt a cold sweat on his skin. "Where do they take her?" "They don't stay in one place," Lyra replied. "They can hide in your world, look like your people. But I have something they want, so they will try to contact me." John noticed a mark on the floor, 3 strange circles, drawn in black dust. Lyra knelt and touched them. "This is their sign. It means they are close." Suddenly, a soft beeping came from the corner. The silver pod that once held Mia was flashing red. On its small screen, a strange message appeared. The symbols moved and twisted, then shifted into English. "Meet us at midnight. Come alone, or she will never return." John's hands shook as he read the message. "It's a trap." Lyra nodded. "Of course, but we have no choice." The hours passed slowly. Lyra explained the plan. They would go together, but only John would show himself. Lyra would hide, ready to act if things went wrong. As midnight approached, they left the safety of the hidden base. The city was silent, the streets empty. John felt exposed under the streetlights, every shadow a threat. They arrived at the meeting place, a deserted playground at the edge of the city. The swings creaked in the wind. An old merry-go-round turned slowly, even though there was no breeze. John stood in the center, holding the small device the tall man had given him. Lyra hid behind a tree, watching closely. Suddenly, 3 figures appeared at the edge of the playground. They walked with perfect steps, almost like they were floating. Their faces looked human, but their eyes glowed faintly blue, red, and green. The tallest figure stepped forward, holding a bundle wrapped in a silver blanket. John's heart leapt. It was Mia. "You brought her," John shouted. The figure's voice was cold and sharp. "You are not her real father. You are nothing, but you are the key. Lyra will come for you. When she does, we will take her and the child." John tried to keep his voice steady. "Let me see Mia. Let me hold her." The figure laughed. It was a harsh, unnatural sound. "You care for the child. Why? She is not yours." John felt anger rise inside him. "She needs me. She trusts me. I won't let you hurt her." The other figures circled John, moving closer. John could see their hands, long fingers with dark, pointed nails. Suddenly, Lyra stepped out from the shadows, a beam of white light in her hand. She aimed it at the tallest hunter. The light hit his chest, and he fell back, dropping Mia onto the ground. John ran forward, scooping Mia into his arms. She clung to him, her eyes wide and scared. In that moment, John felt a surge of warmth inside him, like a protective shield. The hunters shrieked, their faces twisting into something inhuman. Lyra fought them with her strange light, moving faster than any human could. John backed away, holding Mia close. She buried her face in his neck, her small hands gripping his shirt. "Don't be afraid," he whispered. "I'm here." Suddenly, a bright energy pulsed from Mia. The hunters froze, unable to move. Lyra seized the chance, knocking them to the ground. "Run!" she shouted. John and Lyra escaped into the night, Mia held tightly in John's arms. They ran through empty streets, ducking into alleys and hiding in shadows. When they finally stopped, John was out of breath. Lyra checked Mia, who seemed calm again, her powers quiet. "You saved her," Lyra said, her voice full of relief. John looked at Mia, her eyes now soft and trusting. "She saved us too." Lyra nodded. "The hunters won't give up. We must keep moving. But tonight you proved something, John." John looked at her, confused. "What?" Lyra smiled sadly. "Mia's power grows when she feels safe. She trusts you, and that makes her stronger. You are more than just her protector. You are her hope." As dawn began to break, John knew their chase had only just begun. The real danger was still out there, and the world was much stranger than he ever imagined. But as long as Mia was in his arms, he would never stop fighting for her. The sun was rising when John, Lyra, and Mia finally stopped running. They hid in an old warehouse on the edge of the city. The place smelled of oil and dust, but at least it was safe for now. John was exhausted, his arms aching from carrying Mia all night. Lyra watched the windows, her eyes sharp for any sign of the hunters. Mia slept in John's lap, her small hand gripping his shirt tightly. John stroked her hair, feeling the deep bond between them. She was not his child by blood, but she felt like family now, something he never expected to find. Lyra sat across from him, silent for a long time. Finally, she said, "You deserve the truth, John. I cannot hide it anymore." John looked up, worried. "What truth?" Lyra took a deep breath. "Mia is not just a child. She is a bridge between worlds. My people and the hunters, our races have been at war for centuries. Each side has lost much. We wanted peace, but the old leaders would not listen. I came to Earth to find another way. Mia was born from hope, not from violence." John tried to understand. "But why me? Why did you choose me to be her father?" Lyra's voice was soft. "Because Mia needed someone pure of heart. Someone who would care for her, not use her. When I saw you that night in the park, I saw kindness in you. The pain in your eyes showed me you understood what it means to lose. That is why I chose you." John looked at Mia, sleeping peacefully. I never wanted anything like this. But now I can't imagine leaving her. Lyra nodded. You are part of her now. And she is part of you. Suddenly, a quiet beep came from Lyra's device. Her face turned pale. The hunters have tracked us. We have little time. Before John could answer, the warehouse door creaked. The tall man from Lyra's team stepped inside, limping, with blood on his shirt. They are coming, he whispered. But not just the hunters. Someone else is with them. John's heart pounded. He held Mia tighter. Lyra stood up. We have to move. Now. But before they could leave, shadows filled the doorway. The hunters entered, moving in perfect silence, their glowing eyes cold. Behind them walked a new figure, a woman in a long black coat, her hair silver, her face familiar. John stared. The woman looked almost like Lyra, but older. Her eyes were cold, her smile cruel. Lyra, the woman said, you have disappointed us. Lyra stood tall. Mother, I had no choice. The hunters closed in, circling John and Mia. The older woman spoke. This child is dangerous. She must be taken back to our world. There, her power will be controlled. And you, John Parker, must forget everything you have seen. John stood up, trembling, but determined. I won't let you take her. She's just a child. The woman laughed. You do not understand. Mia is more than a child. She can change the balance of power between our worlds. The hunters want her as a weapon. We want her as a prisoner. You are nothing but a tool. John's anger flared. He looked down at Mia, who was now awake, her eyes glowing softly. You're wrong. She is hope. She is family. Mia suddenly sat up, her small hand reaching for John's. He felt a strange energy move through him, warm and powerful. The room seemed to shake, the air charged with light. Lyra stepped forward, pleading with her mother. Please, there is another way. Let Mia choose her own path. Let us end this war. But the older woman shook her head. The child will never be safe. Neither will you. The hunters moved closer. John could feel their cold presence. Mia's hand squeezed his, and suddenly, John felt her voice inside his head, clear and strong. Don't be afraid, Dad. I'm with you. John felt a power he had never known before. He stood up, holding Mia tightly. Light surrounded them, pushing the hunters back. The older woman hissed. Enough! Bring them to me. But Mia's power grew stronger. The light grew, forcing the hunters and the older woman to step back. Lyra moved beside John, her hand on his shoulder. Together, they formed a barrier of energy, soft but unbreakable. The hunters tried to push forward, but could not get through. The older woman screamed in frustration. Mia spoke, her voice echoing in the warehouse. No more fighting. No more war. The light exploded outward, knocking the hunters off their feet. The older woman vanished into the shadows. When the light faded, John, Lyra, and Mia were alone again. The warehouse was silent. Lyra knelt beside John and Mia. You did it, John. You helped her find her strength. John hugged Mia, tears in his eyes. He finally understood Mia was the key not to war but to peace. But as they rested in the quiet morning, John knew it was not over. The hunters were wounded, but not defeated, and secrets still waited in the shadows. For now, though, they had each other, and that was enough. The city was still dark as John, Lyra, and Mia left the warehouse and hurried through silent streets. Dawn was close, but every shadow looked like a threat. John held Mia close, her small arms wrapped around his neck. He could feel her quiet strength, a soft energy pulsing through his skin. Lyra led the way, her eyes sharp and her steps quick. They found shelter in an abandoned subway tunnel. The air was damp, and water dripped from the ceiling. Lyra used her device to seal the entrance with an invisible force field. For a moment, John let himself hope they were safe. But Mia was uneasy. She stared into the darkness, her eyes glowing with fear. They are coming, she whispered. Lyra knelt beside her. Can you feel them? Mia nodded. So many. And someone else. Someone strong. John's heart thudded in his chest. What can we do? Lyra looked at him with tired eyes. We fight. We have no choice now. Suddenly, the tunnel shook. The force field flickered, and a cold wind rushed in. At the far end of the tunnel, figures appeared, hunters, moving silently, their glowing eyes cold as ice. Behind them came Lyra's mother, her silver hair shining in the darkness. Her face showed no mercy. She raised her hand, and the force field shattered. Hunters poured in, spreading out like a wave. Lyra stood between the hunters and John, her body tense. Stay behind me. Protect Mia. The old woman's voice echoed through the tunnel. It is over, Lyra. Give us the child, or you will all die. John held Mia tighter. Never. The hunters attacked. Lyra's hands glowed with white energy, forming a shield around her and John. The hunters smashed against it, hissing and shrieking, but could not break through. The old woman stepped forward, her eyes locked on Mia. You have no idea what you are protecting. The child's power will destroy both our worlds. John shouted back, She's just a child. She can choose her own path. Suddenly, the ground cracked open. Dark energy poured from the cracks, swirling around the hunters and Lyra's mother. John felt the world twist and bend, as if reality itself was breaking. Mia was shaking in John's arms. Tears ran down her cheeks. Daddy, I'm scared. John hugged her close. It's okay, Mia. I'm here. I won't let anyone hurt you. Lyra was fighting hard, but she was growing weaker. One of the hunters broke through her shield, grabbing her arm and throwing her to the ground. Lyra's mother pointed at Mia. Bring her to me. Two hunters rushed at John. He tried to run, but the ground was slick. One hunter grabbed his shoulder, claws digging into his skin. Pain shot through him, but he didn't let go of Mia. Suddenly, Mia's eyes glowed brighter than ever. Her small hands reached out, and a blast of blue energy pushed the hunters away. The tunnel was filled with light and sound, the very air shaking. John staggered to his feet, holding Mia. He felt her power inside him, like a fire in his blood. The old woman raised both hands, dark energy swirling around her. She spoke in a language John could not understand. The tunnel trembled. Lyra pulled herself up and shouted, Mia, you have to choose. Mia looked at John, her face full of fear and hope. Can I really choose, Daddy? John nodded, tears in his eyes. Yes, you're not a weapon. You're my daughter. You decide who you want to be. Mia's fear faded. Her eyes shone with courage. She floated out of John's arms, her body surrounded by blue light. The hunters tried to reach her, but she stopped them with a wave of her hand. Lyra's mother screamed, You cannot escape your destiny. But Mia shook her head. I make my own destiny. She closed her eyes, and the blue light grew brighter and brighter. The hunters froze, caught in the light. The dark energy faded. Lyra's mother screamed again, her form twisting and vanishing into nothingness. Then everything went silent. Mia floated down to the ground, her face tired but peaceful. John ran to her and hugged her tight. Lyra joined them, her face wet with tears. You did it, Mia, Lyra whispered. You broke the cycle. No more war. No more running. John held Mia close. I'm so proud of you. They looked around. The tunnel was quiet now. The hunters were gone. The darkness had lifted. Lyra smiled at John. You helped her find her strength. Without you, this would not have been possible. John shook his head, still amazed. I just did what any father would do. As they walked out of the tunnel, the first light of morning touched the city. The world felt new, as if hope itself had returned. But John knew that even after the final fight, new challenges would come. For now, though, he was just happy to have Mia safe in his arms, and Lyra by his side. They were a family now, an unusual family perhaps, but a real one. And whatever the future brought, John knew they would face it together. John never thought the end of the world could be so quiet. The fight in the tunnel was over. The hunters were gone, and Lyra's mother had vanished into the darkness. John, Lyra, and Mia stood together in the pale morning light, not sure what would happen next. They walked through the empty city, Mia holding John's hand tightly. She looked tired, but there was a new light in her eyes, a look of freedom. Lyra stayed close, always checking the shadows, as if she expected danger to return. For the first time since this all began, John felt hope. He had protected Mia. He had found a new purpose. And even though the world had become strange and dangerous, he was not alone anymore. They found a small apartment above an old bakery. The building was quiet, the streets peaceful. Lyra made sure there were no more trackers or secret threats, then turned to John and Mia. "We need rest," she said. "We are safe for now." For the next few days, life became simple again. John took Mia to the park, teaching her how to swing and ride a bike. Lyra watched from a distance, always alert. Mia's powers seemed to be sleeping, and she laughed and played like any child. But some nights, John woke from strange dreams, visions of stars and distant worlds, of ancient wars and lost families. He saw Mia as a grown woman, standing between armies, her hands full of light. He always woke with his heart pounding. One evening, while John read a story to Mia, she stopped him. Her eyes were serious and wise beyond her years. "Daddy," she said softly, "do you ever wonder where you really come from?" John smiled. "I grew up in this city. My parents..." But he stopped. The truth was, he had never known his real parents. He had grown up in foster homes, moving from place to place. He had always felt out of place, like a piece of his life was missing. Mia touched his face. "I can show you if you want. Just close your eyes." John hesitated, then nodded. He closed his eyes, holding Mia's hand. Suddenly, his mind was filled with images. Stars spinning, ships moving through space, faces like his and Lyra's. He saw a planet, green and blue, with 2 moons. He saw a woman holding a baby, singing in a language he did not know. When he opened his eyes, tears ran down his cheeks. Lyra knelt beside him. "You see, John? You are not only human. My people and yours, there is a connection long forgotten. That's why Mia chose you. You were always meant to be her father." John looked at Mia, amazed. "Does that mean I have powers too?" Mia laughed. "Maybe a little, but mostly you have a good heart. That's the strongest power." A quiet peace filled the room. For the first time, John felt whole. He was part of something bigger. A new story, a new family. But outside, someone watched. In the shadows of the street, a tall figure stood, hidden behind a row of parked cars. His eyes glowed faintly blue. He spoke into a small device, his voice cold. "The child survived. The human is with her. Orders." A crackling voice answered, "Wait, observe. The story is not over." The man turned away, vanishing into the darkness. That night, Lyra came to John on the balcony. The stars were bright above the city. "Do you ever wish things had been different?" she asked quietly. John shook his head. "I thought I wanted an easy life. But now, I'm glad I met you. And Mia." Lyra smiled. "We are family now, John. And families face the future together." They stood together, watching the sky. Inside, Mia lay awake, listening to the city sounds. She closed her eyes and dreamed of stars and new worlds. But this time, she was not afraid. She knew her father and Lyra would always be with her. The next morning, as the city woke up, John found a small envelope on the doorstep. Inside was a note, written in perfect English. "Your story is not finished. Protect the child. Others are coming." John showed it to Lyra. She nodded, her face serious but calm. "We will be ready." John hugged Mia, feeling her small arms around his neck. No matter what happened next, he knew they would face it together. He looked up at the morning sky, a new sense of wonder in his heart. He was not just a lonely man anymore. He was a father. He was a protector. He was part of a story that stretched across the stars. And as the sunlight poured through the window, John understood the truth. Every ending is just a new beginning.